One of our employees wish to be captured on video tonight.
He can be recording in here.
Well, we don't want our employees on video, and for the privacy of our citizens here, we want to make sure that.
Hey, guys, he's saying that they don't want their employees on video.
I'm happy to be on video, though. So
you're happy? Yeah, but your employees are now speaking to the public, and they're in a public position. They must be comfortable on video. You've got executives
This is
here.
an open space for them to have conversations with our employees, and they're more than welcome to do so. If you wish to record, you can record me, but our employees...
Why can't we have an open conversation on camera with your employees?
That's not the purpose of today.
The purpose of today is a community open house to answer our questions. Why won't you do it on video? What do you have to hide?
Why are you dressed up like Superman?
Because I've been doing a public information campaign that says nuclear power, no thank you, and shut it down. And I've been doing a better job than these people. So if you want to inform the public, you should speak on camera so that people can watch at home.
It's hard for them to speak when you interrupt. I was at a public meeting, and you wouldn't let people speak because you were jumping around in front of your camera to make an effect.
All we want is to record. All we want is to record.
I think you're rude.
I will shut up if we can record. Can we record?
No, there will be no recording tonight except for me.
No, you can't say this. This is a public space. This is the community center. You have to speak and be accountable to the public.
You're really disrupting this tonight.
I'm not disrupting. You're disrupting participation and informing the public by not willing to speak on camera. That's a legit point. I don't care about your corporate control. You need to be accountable to the community, and you need to speak on camera. That is public information. You are public people.
No.
This is a public meeting.
You're defining what accountability looks like by putting people on video that then you get to use in your way and cut and splice and dice your way.
They need to speak. They need to be
people
public.
know that you're accountable with what you
Because you can slice and dice it any way you want.
Exactly.
So they're slicing and dicing it, so they need to give it to us and say it to us. Because when we email them, they don't answer our questions.
So you can
when we email them saying, show us your independent third-party report.
Why don't you just ask right here and we can all find out what you want to know?
Okay.
And we'd like to videotape it so we can remember.
No, we'll remember. We're all here. Why did you just ask? I'll remember. Why did you just ask?
What if they're recording us? We don't have a beef with that.
Excuse me, guys. Can you get in here? Cops, can you get in here? What are they trying to do here? Let's go ask the cops. I mean, are the cops going to say you're not allowed to be on video?
We're going to have to ask them to leave.
No, hey, I don't want my picture taken by you. You did this at the public meeting I attended. You didn't ask my permission, and I don't like it. I don't like people I don't know taking my picture.
You know what? I've got you now recording on that, and that looks bad. We have the right to record.
We're here to
you do not have a right to record me.
Yeah, you're here to protect the citizens here? That's a laugh.
No,
I'm a citizen. This is a public meeting. We're doing video. That's not against the law.
It's not public. I don't want them taking my picture. I don't want you taking my picture. I'm the public.
I don't have her in the picture.
I'm the public.
This is
I
a
live
public
down the
meeting.
street. I'm a retired citizen. I don't want you taking my picture. You've done it before.
Who's the manager?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not okay with them. I'm not okay with it. You've done it before. I was at another public meeting, you took my picture, I didn't like it, and you?
No, it's a video game. It's a video game.
He did, with the same outfit on. That's why I know it.
There's no presentations to open house. People are here to ask questions of our experts, and they're free to do so, but there will be no recording. I'm happy to appear on camera, but my employees and the citizens will not be recorded.
No, he did not.
It's fine.
He never asked for anything.
As a policy, I'm happy to be recorded, but
what is your policy? Can you show us the policy?
It's kind of open, right? And if you want to shut that down and speak individually, we can. But I mean, it's only here recording. I think that's fair.
No, it isn't.
No, hold on.
I'm sorry,
Let me speak, okay?
It isn't. Look, he's recording this right now.
I know.
He's taking pictures right now.
We can record it all the time. Okay, I don't like it. No one does. Okay?
He gets sliced and diced and used for his propaganda. I'm a citizen. I don't want to be filmed and his propaganda.
Listen, I understand that.
I didn't come to a public meeting for his recording.
Well, then you can leave. That's up to you.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not
He
kidding.
can record this man talking to him on film, but he's here for propaganda.
Hurt or keep the peace, and maintain that.
That's not
Everyone
fair.
has the right.
That's not fair. This is a public information session. People from the area come to get information. Why do we get turned into his sideshow?
I'm not saying anyone's fault here, okay? I'm just here to keep the peace. I'm not here to judge anyone, okay?
Does Wallace Emerson
I'm
let
just
this guy
here-
take pictures like this? Does Wallace Emerson know that these people are here taking video against
Ma'am.
our I don't like
Ma'am,
it.
I understand.
I've been to
I
other
get it
public
too.
meetings where these people have done it, and
Can
it's
Toronto
not
Public
fair.
Health not come here and speak up about our right to interview them? They're standing right there.
Hold on, hold on, hold on.
Calmly.
Okay? Okay, do you have some questions you want to ask?
Yeah.
That's what it's here for,
Yeah.
okay? So let's utilize that.
Okay.
Instead
And
of
recording is
putting
okay.
on sides, okay?
And another thing, Zach,
Put it on the side,
a
yeah.
little bit calmer.
Is there
ask
someone that you'd like
questions.
to speak
It'll
to?
be nicer that way. Okay?
Yeah, sure. Let's speak to Paul Ziri here.
Yeah, I don't want to be filmed. So that's
So
his right
what's
to
your
to not
role here?
request to be on
Turn off
camera.
the camera, I'll answer any question you want.
Why don't you want to be filmed?
Well, if he doesn't want to do it,
Professional courtesy, I don't want to be filmed.
you guys aren't going to get anywhere, okay?
See, this isn't right. He just, look at, we say we don't want to be filmed, and he goes ahead and does it anyway. That's
This
not
is for my
right,
safety.
and it's not polite.
I understand that.
I'll answer any question you want.
I don't like it, but it happens, okay?
Well,
There's
then
nothing
please
against
ask
it.
him to
I
go
need a
and
record
film
of
out
this.
the
It's
call.
just like at the
People
commission,
say
we
it's
have a
located
webcast.
down there.
Okay,
Turn
you
off
can
the
ask
camera,
me.
I'll answer any question you want.
Sir,
Any question you
it's
want.
making everyone very uncomfortable.
No, it's
It's
not.
not making me uncomfortable, it's making me more comfortable.
What's that?
It's making me more comfortable.
Would you-
Knowing
okay,
the nuclear
okay,
industry and
okay.
knowing GE's
I'm
history,
just here
I
to-
feel much more comfortable being filmed
All right.
than being somebody who's trying to shut this plant down and being
Okay, all right.
not
You
having a
stand right
record of
there
what's said and that I was
film the
here and that
call.
who else was here.
You can get the whole
No,
room.
I need to go up to when GE Hitachi people are talking, and I need to be able to. So you don't want to be on film, but are you okay? The CEO of GE Hitachi Canada, Peter Mason, are you okay answering my questions on film?
I've answered your questions many times.
I have more questions.
Ma'am, please.
He's rude. It's just rude. It
It's
really
rude?
is.
Zach, I'll be
It
the only one
really
from
is.
GE that'll be appearing on camera tonight. That's fine.
And are you a nuclear worker, or do you
Yeah, I'm
work
the
at
director of
plant?
communications and
Would
public
you
affairs
guys
for GE.
be,
I'm happy to appear on camera. I will be the only employee on camera.
would you guys be okay about your voice being
I'll
recorded?
do all the answering that I
I'm
can,
a
and
citizen.
whatever
I came
information
here
I
to
can
find
provide
out
you, we'll make sure
information,
you
not to be in his video.
You know what? They said they will meet with you.
You know what?
Meet with them.
I get it too, okay? But we have to work together. He's got some questions. It's not illegal to take anything. If you don't want to be here and take it, leave, right?
Are you kidding me? He effectively gets to veto my participation in the public meeting.
Not at all. Not at all. I am not saying that for 1 second. That's not what I
Yes,
said.
you are. Because
Do not listen.
Zach, why don't you just tell me what you say? What do we need him to do?
he wants to take video, and I don't want to be in his video.
What do we need him to do?
Guys,
Does it- does it-
you know what? We won't use
Not
video.
to attend the meeting because he wants to take the video.
Okay, we just want to put them on the GE employees, and they're saying no. Do they have a right to say no? I mean, they need to answer a question.
Okay. You've misunderstood.
They didn't ask in advance, they just turn it and turn this into confrontation. It's not right.
I'm not the only person doing video.
I get that.
There's cameras everywhere.
Folks, our stations are still open. Please feel free to talk to an expert about
Go
any
ahead
of
and
your
enjoy your
questions.
meeting.
I don't want to disrupt the evening. We've got a lot of people here that are ready to answer questions. Please feel free to ask.
So, are you happy with the? Yeah. Okay, let's go. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So why don't you just stay with me? You can be my friend. You can be right here. Okay, great. you can come with me the whole time and keep the peace with me. You want to help me keep the peace? Okay, so you're going to be my buddy. So you're going to, okay, you can follow me.
I'm not following nobody, making sure that everybody is
Are you not concerned that the soil sticker came back contaminated between 21.2 to 30 parts per million? Who are you? Why didn't you bring your communications here, Bambuser, Toronto Public Health? Am I not a member of the public?
Right now, you're filming this for purpose of, I'm not sure why this is.
As a member of the public. I'm filming it for my own purposes as a member of the public.
It has to go as per protocol, it has to go
So you went to a public meeting without notifying your communication?
We're not aware of this.
Well, I'm seriously going to talk to Monica Campbell, I'm going to talk to David McEwen, and then talk to Dr. Shapiro. This is ridiculous. You're Toronto Public Health. You need to be prepared to speak to the public and speak on camera. Shame on you, Bambuser Health, Environmental Toxicology Officer at Toronto Public Health. And yourself?
Send a letter to Joe Penacheri and find out why you don't want to be in amendment. I'm going to make a letter to Joe Penacheri. I'm going to ask him, Joe Ball, why you don't want to be a member. It's so important. It's a health matter that is important.
Oh yeah, it's distracting you, is it? Sorry about that.
Hi, I'm Zach. And you are? You're, sir? Kevin Webster. Yes. So your results how many results were contaminated above the supposed background with the MOP study?
All results were within the background.
There were 2 that were above the background ranges.
These samples that we took were in the background.
And why do your samples not match the Hitachi samples nor the CNSC samples that found elevations of upwards of 21.2 parts per million, which is about 10 times higher than the background ranges?
Samples that we took next to the environment all over the background, within the range of background.
So why do your results differ from the others that show clear contamination?
For those pieces of information, you'll have to speak to people who are doing the study.
So you did a study and you're not interested in conflicting results of other studies? How do you then say that your study is enough to say that there's no public health risk?
The samples that we took all were within the background range.
So tell me, why did you not take samples at the runoff courses in the places of obvious runoff from the plant and their concrete and their parking lot? I didn't see any holes, but I did see holes in high places elsewhere. What was the reason for not taking a sample where you knew it would probably be higher?
We took samples of various locations to show representative samples. We found that they were all within the background.
So is a runoff course from the plant not a representative location?
There's a lot of things that impact the background levels.
No, I want to skip that.
And we don't know where that comes from. So we want to get soil samples to show where we can actually determine the location.
Do you have a business card?
So why would the runoff spot from the plant not be a location where you can determine contamination from those samples?
Again, the samples we took all showed that they were the ranges from within the background samples. We're talking extremely low levels.
Because you didn't look at places where you knew they would be higher.
The samples we took were representative samples.
So why didn't you take a sample right at the place where there's runoff from the plant? I'm not a scientist, but I know that the uranium would be higher there. Why didn't you take samples there?
We took 2 samples.
From where?
From right beside the parking lot where runoff would come off, in the grassed area right beside the facility.
But then there were plenty of other places.
Where?
Well, not only the places that GE had indicated had already been contaminated above the background, like the rail track.
We sampled representative sites that people would be particularly exposed to. So public green spaces, we looked at boulevards, we looked at municipal right-of-ways. Their children, where adults, where your pets are typically exposed to soil. We didn't go to places that are not accessible to the public. The rail lands are not places that people hang around in. That's not.
Yes, they are.
Really?
Tara Gardner was murdered. She was killed by a train on that line. That the Minister of Health, former mayoral candidate's boyfriend, was found right on the tracks when he was unconscious. There's homeless people that walk there. Heck, Dr. Jim Deutsch, medical professor, received a trespass warning because he was walking his dog on that line. People use that space.
That may be, but we're sampling sites that are representative of the residential community. People where they would normally recreate, where they would hang around, where there were parks. whether it's their front yards, backyards. They're not
So
hanging around
you
in
define the
railway
study
lines.
in a way to try and minimize the contamination that's there.
That's not true at all.
Then if people ask you for more testing, would you do more testing?
We don't see, there was no evidence that there's been any measurable impacts to the surrounding community.
So are you ignoring the CNSC report and GE's own monitoring reports that show an elevation above background?
It's above background, but it's well below the human health standards that are protective of human health.
So it's above background, but the pathway the CNSC has admitted for above background contamination is air emissions. So you're saying that it's above background, which it is contaminated, but because it's below a certain guideline, that it's not a hazard to human health, even though they admit that elevation and that contamination is, coming from air emissions, and it is actually like 20 times higher than background? You're talking about background in your study, and you're not concerned about this?
It's well below the standards that have been set that are protective of human health. Almost half of what's been set for protective of human health. Those are based on peer-reviewed studies. They're based on
for the impunity of the industry, and we know it. We know it.
Well, you may know that. I wouldn't agree.
So, right now, you're standing confidently in front of a picture of a nuclear employee. Does it make any?
It's not by design, my friend. You kind of ambushed me here, so I can move over there if you prefer.
Who's one of the biggest customers of GE Hitachi?
I couldn't tell you.
It's Ontario Power Generation.
Okay.
It's public.
Yes.
So aren't you in a conflict of interest speaking on behalf of the Ministry of the Environment, on behalf of a government that is the customer of this place?
My staff were the ones who conducted the soil survey on behalf of the Ministry of the Environment. And I'm here to speak about the soil survey that we did.
Did you conduct any anti-nuclear activists, or did you consult any critical scientists who are critical of these standards? Do you just accept these standards?
I accept them, yes.
And based on what?
Based on the good science that's behind them.
So what is the good science that established a 23.1 part per million soil limit? What is that science? Tell me.
I'm not in the branch that sets the standards.
But you just spoke to the good science that set those standards, and you can't speak to those standards.
Well, I can get someone who can for you.
Then please do. And next time, don't ignore the request to have a meeting with the public, so you can answer their questions. You can host a meeting. You can answer their questions, and you can take their undertakings and get back to them.
I'll answer any question you have
and
about the soil survey. We just
and
their
questions are also going to be for more testing. And that's what you should do, because theoretically, any proponent of the nuclear industry or someone who thinks that it's healthy should have in their advantage more transparency and more testing. So I don't understand your reluctance.
I'm not reluctant. Yeah.
For more tests, you're not reluctant?
It's not my decision.
Yeah, right. This is Dr. Jim Deutsch right here.
How are you?
So two questions. First of all, the reason for testing soil is to get a measure or an estimate of exposure.
Come in a bit more and just be a bit more central, so I don't have to get this conversation. Thank you. I can move on.
So you're trying to estimate, get some kind of indirect estimate of internal exposure to uranium. It's an alpha emitter, and that's where it does its damage. So I think there's a lot of conflation and confusion here in terms of speaking of external radiation, because it's internal that counts. It's when the alpha particle is emitted close to DNA or other molecules that counts. I just was at a conference all day at the latest research on genetics and epigenetics and that whole field of looking at the genome. So there's a lot of new information, and I think these standards are going to be called into question. I just spoke to somebody, one of the major geneticists from the United States, who was a keynote speaker at the conference. He says really very little is known about uranium or other emitters of ionizing radiation. We evolved partly to survive disease and poisons that were in the environment. These are brand new poisons that are man-made. Uranium was mostly under the ground. It's only relatively recent, or very recent in human history, that it's been brought above ground to the extent that it is. And in this case, it's in a residential neighborhood. So getting back to the soil sample, first of all, the standards are made by some kind of a consensus But the regulatory bodies, whether they're local or international, are pro-industry bodies. The International Atomic Energy Agency and the World Health Organization actually made a deal, basically, so that anything that the World Health Organization says about ionizing radiation and health effects, for example, depleted uranium in the Middle East or the Balkans, anything that the WHO says has to be vetted first through the International Atomic Energy Agency. The Nuclear Energy Agency is also a pro-industry body if you look at the information on their website. So that's where you're getting your studies. So basically, you're a Ministry of the Environment. You're paid, I think still, to protect us and yourselves, your children, grandchildren, and so on and so forth. So that's where I think Zach is talking about we have to sort this out. We're all in the same boat. We're all breathing the same air. We're all eating produce from the same farms, from the same soil. So basically, the question is, what do these soil samples mean, and what do they tell you about what people have been breathing and ingesting cumulatively, especially the ones that have lived in the neighborhood a long time? I've got one of my kids who's grown up, lives several blocks away, downwind. I live not that much further downwind, so this affects me personally. It affects all of us, really, in terms of where this stuff goes. So that's the question, is what does a soil sample mean? What do the standards mean? Who made them? And who do they work for?
Well, the standards are established by the Ministry of the Environment. I'm not an expert in the standard setting process, so I can't speak to that. But they are established.
But you probably know that they're relatively, from consensus, they probably weren't established by scientists in Ontario. They're international standards, and they've been going down historically over the decades. They keep going down, and they're going to go down more because we're going to discover more about health effects. The impact on the genome of alpha emitters, beta emitters, and of course the gammas as well. But it's going to happen. So I think you've got to go with the low end of the standards, and they're going to go even lower. There's no safe dose, basically.
And just to follow up, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Are we at the low end of?
Yeah, I think the key message to understand here is that out of all the sites we sampled, not a single sample was over what's considered typical background range for uranium in Ontario. Across Ontario, there's no difference what we found in the soil here than what we'd find in other cities, in the rural areas of Ontario, northern Ontario. So the key message is that we're within background concentrations. That's the key message here.
I mean, you're right, it is going down, but as long as it hasn't gone down lower than what the limit that they found.
Well, there's a discrepancy.
Yeah.
I mean, the point is there's a discrepancy with the other study. So I'm not sure how that happened, but basically your samples and some of theirs don't agree by an order of magnitude, right?
There's reasons for that. There's different sampling methodologies. There's different site locations that they chose, and there's different analytical methodologies that they use. So you're going to get some variability in the results, and that's typical, especially at low concentrations like we're finding here. But we follow our standard operating procedures that have been established over the last 25 years. We had our top scientist at the ministry conduct this, design the survey, conduct it, analyze the data. He's been doing work in this field for 20 years. We're comfortable and we're confident with the work that we did as part of the soil survey. We're confident with the results.
I'm not. I mean, as a physician, I'm really uncomfortable with this because all you need to do is think of basically the process that you're bringing the uranium powder 1,800 tons per year, right, in trucks to the plant and then taking it out in the form of these pellets. You've got a plant that's very old. The windows are open in the summer, I understand, from people who've come by. And so you know that some of this is escaping. So basically what you're saying is that you sampled soil and you measured it in a certain way and you applied certain standards. And in this case, you're looking at background amount of uranium in soil. And then you leave it there and you say that it's safe. And that, I don't think you can logically conclude that it's safe from that.
Robert, do you want to be
as I said, they're below typical concentrations you'd find anywhere else in Ontario. So their background concentrations, there's no evidence that they've had a measurable effect on the uranium concentrations in the surrounding neighborhood. We sampled sites right beside the facility all the way out to about a kilometer. Again, these were sites that were typical where people might be associated with, be exposed to, so parklands, municipal boulevards, municipal right-of-ways. It's typical of what you'd find in your front yard or your backyard.
What counts is what you breathe in terms of these are very fine particles now, and that's, there's new research on that as well in terms of that the fine particles are the ones that go deep into the lung. They sit there and they're close to the DNA. They go into the bloodstream.
Are you saying that the measuring devices that they have are not measuring?
They're looking at it mounted in the ground, and they're measuring in a certain way. And I guess the other people measured using a different method. And I'm not an expert on how to measure uranium. I did work in the biochemistry lab for 10 years myself. But I guess the question is, what does that tell you about what people breathe? And what they ingest, what they eat.
I think as we progress,
the
standards are going to change, and as long as standards have not changed, and as long as they stay within the norms, I have no issue. And I'm a neighbor.
Yeah.
I have no issue with them working and doing their job.
Well, so as a neighbor, I'm not right here, but I'm relatively close. But I want to know, what am I breathing in? And is the soil measure a good measure of that?
But it can rest on the shoulder to prove something that is not actually already on paper. So they're doing their work, they're trying to follow what the guidelines that they've been given. If there are new guidelines coming up, they will have to follow these. But until they come up, they can't follow something that doesn't exist.
If you look at the history of the nuclear industry, it comes out of bomb making. And there's a lot of secrecy, and the studies in terms of exposures are really very hard to do. For example, after Hiroshima, it's a very flawed study, the epidemiological study of the effects of radiation, because a lot of people died. There wasn't that very good access. There was a lot of misinformation. So, all the way through from there on, looking at workers in Hanford and Washington State, and the health effects there, it's very, very hard to study these things. So I err on the side of precaution, and I would say that, having uranium powder coming in and out of a neighborhood, it just shouldn't happen. I'm going to just go beyond that. What's that?
So it's sitting next to a microwave when you turn it on.
Well, there are other hazards too. Exactly. I mean, I don't have a microwave in my home, so that was my decision. But I think the other thing is that you have to look at the context, which is that this uranium is mined on Aboriginal land by and large throughout the world. There's a lot of health effect there. It goes right through here and into reactors where it's irradiated and bombarded by neutrons and so on and so forth. It goes through fission, and it's creating a monumental amount of waste that we don't know what to do with. I mean, we're stuck with it. And if you look at Fukushima, it's a major public health emergency right now. The Tokyo Electric Power Company has lied. The Japanese government have lied. There needs to be an international effort there, and that's just one set of reactors there, and we got them all over the place. So, it's just like it has to stop. It's insane. It's just completely insane. Yeah, well, it is, but here you go. You're living on this earth. I'm living on this earth. Do we want this stuff?
We need energy.
Yeah, but there's lots of ways of conserving. There's a ton of waste. There's enormous amounts of waste. We have to ask what's more important: our grandchildren's health, or large screen TV and all that stuff. And it's not even the consumer; it's the industry drives it. They decide what to make and what to make us want, right? And how to make it, and there are amazing efficiencies.
They've been there for years, and it's not. I don't know. I trust them to actually. We moved in, and so they were there before us.
Yeah.
To ask them to leave and drop everything behind, I think it's not realistic. If they're doing the proper
well, there are many things. If you look at
the big fight against nuclear, which may or may not be valid, I think they're doing a fine job. As long as they communicate, they stay open, I have we shouldn't have issues. I mean, we shouldn't put all that burden on their shoulders. It's not fair.
You know,
You might want to hear. I spoke to a former employee of this plant who told me that they were instructed not to talk about the plant because GE Hitachi didn't want the community to know. So if they were confident in
You
safety,
work in any company, they will tell you to not speak on behalf.
they didn't want people to know that this plant was there. I've also spoken to community healthcare workers who treated home care patients in this neighborhood who told me that there was a lot of patients with cancer. Noticeable, it's not like some peer-reviewed study that they had higher incidence of cancer.
And frankly, I understand why, because look, as soon as they spoke up, mayhem happened. On the other hand, immediately after there were all those tests, I can tell you the truth, I bought my own device. And I went and I walked around with her. We walked around the plant and we measured. There was no issue whatsoever.
But isn't this just measure one type of radiation?
sorry, there was no issue with what?
There was no issue with the level of radiation found with the device I purchased.
Oh,
so frankly,
okay. Yeah. See, what the point is, it's the point.
I'm not saying that there are no other ways that this can harm us, but only ways that we have detected so far, and like you said, the World Health Organization has put them on numbers, what needs to be there. They are within those limits, and we can't blame them for being. Like you go to a car emission, they're putting them in the right emission thing. You can prevent them from creating using a car.
I think you can do a lot more as a citizen and a neighbor.
Accumulate over time? It does.
I'm saying it's a bigger problem than going to Chevy and tell them, hey, your car says you shouldn't produce it. Well, they shouldn't produce it because they actually produce it in a norm. Unless we lower those norms, and he was right, we are lowering them slowly, but it's a work in progress.
But this is, obviously a massive problem. We can't shut down nuclear energy tomorrow, but this is a huge company with huge profits. I'm renting a one-bedroom apartment. Can't they just leave and go somewhere where there's not human beings right next door? Isn't that?
Did you ask all the 50 people that are going to lose their jobs? I think there are more than 50. I don't know how many.
Do the 50 people that are there even know about the risks to their health? I read a Pembina Research Institute paper showing that in 2003 they were exposed to more radiation in their arms than with the limits that they're supposed to get in their entire body. So are they even being informed of what?
In their
yeah, I wonder. I mean, the current employees are going to want to talk to us, but I wonder if they're being informed of the risk to their health. Are they talking to experts like this, or are they talking to people who are benefiting from the industry?
We don't know, correct? All they can do is present us with results, and we have to objectively, not subjectively.
This doesn't look like results to me. This looks like propaganda to me.
Yeah, it's all pretty vague, and it's all pretty running around.
I tell you, I measure myself. And
yeah, but you measured.
I will. I promise. Actually, you know what? If you have a website, I have it on the website.
Let me just clarify something. You measured gamma. You measured gamma radiation. Uranium is an alpha emitter, so it's 2 protons, 2 neutrons. It's a whopping big chunk of atom. The gamma is a wave, basically. So you're measuring gamma, but that's not picking up the uranium. That's the problem. So it's not the way. It's the same in Japan. They go around with these Geiger counters. That's not what's going to the children's thyroids.
Well, then the pressure should be on the World Organization to lower or to change their measurements, not on the end user to reinvent the world. Because I'm telling you, they don't comply with that. I tell you, I'll be the first one in line to say, you know what, stop.
No, but see, historically, this is the confusion, I think, is if you wait for the International Standards Organization to change, what you're asking is the industry to regulate itself, because they do work for the industry. It's hard to believe. It's like I believed in Santa Claus when I was a kid. I know better now. These people regulate themselves. They're not going to lower it.
You follow the law, yeah?
It has to be ground up. That's the only way.
The problem with the law is that people make the law, not all of us. If you go to Corp Watch, they investigate corporations and the worst histories of the worst corporations. You can look at General Electric's history, and you can see that they did nuclear tests on prisoners and didn't explain to them the effect that it was going to have on them, and fertility and all these things. And then you can think, well, do I trust GE Hitachi? You should be very skeptical of everything that they're telling you. And then if you look to all the experts are telling you, they're telling you, no, it's not safe, and renewable energy is possible if it wasn't for all these greedy bastards who make billions off of this, and they want to have this in my neighborhood.
I don't disagree with any of that.
Yeah, no, I know you agree. Yeah. So,
but also I'm having a hard time seeing, like, judgmental on people that are trying to
Well,
follow
it's
the
not
law.
their fault. They're just doing their job.
I know, but we're putting pressure on them.
No,
And
it's their
you
job.
know what? I
It's
think
their
the pressure
job
needs
to
to be put, and
question.
whatever work needs to be done is towards lowering those limits. If they are harming us in any way, if they're not doing proper sentences because but they're following the rules, even the rules, if they are playing within those sentences, as anyone else that does like follow the law, they should do whatever they need, whatever they want. Like the guy that's filming, he can film. Actually, I pulled it up. It was on the internet. He can film in a public thing. No one was supposed to stop him. So, let him film. They should not stop him from filming because he's going within the law. They're doing their job. They're sampling the way they were supposed to sample. They're displaying the samples. I've done my own thing, right? But at the same time, they are within the law. And as long as no new rules, as a neighbor, I don't feel like I have the right to tell them to go.
I think we should ask the CEO of Hitachi Canada what neighborhood he lives in. Do people like that let stuff like this go on in their neighborhood?
I'll be in Hyde Park myself.
I bet you his neighborhood doesn't have any industrial facilities at all.
No,
because people like that, the rich make rules for us with low standards that we're just supposed to accept. We can have our kids breathe in this garbage, and then they live in, a nice part of town, right? Got to consider that.
Yeah, but if he was a nice part of town, this place like over there, I'm sure I don't know, maybe he won't mind being there. But all I'm saying is, if there was a facility in Hyde Park, I don't know if people will still live there or not.
Exactly. Why would we want it here?
If it was in Hyde Park, they would have it moved.
It's hypothetical. Yeah, we don't know. Sorry, I'm not on your side too much because not because of I really I feel the first one in mind they had
If you look at the history of, it's unbelievable the history of the nuclear industry. It comes out of the bomb industry. They pushed it ahead. They took really big risks. They've had hundreds and hundreds of above-ground detonations. A reactor contains vastly more than a single atomic bomb. Most people don't realize that. That's what's happening in Fukushima now. It's released a lot of stuff into the oceans and into the groundwater, but what's been released in the air, and that goes against the prevailing winds, is 30 times the amount of the Hiroshima bomb at this point. And it's going to be a lot more soon, I think, just because they're having to dismantle this fuel pool. So each of these reactors contains an enormous amount. They bring in the uranium, the amount of uranium. I haven't calculated, but it's many atomic bombs worth of uranium that they bring in here.
Aren't they going to decommission the Kitchener, the Pickering station in like 5 years?
Aren't they?
They're talking about
They were
fixing
supposed, here's what I read, they were supposed to invest a huge amount, but they haven't done it, and therefore they will have to close it in 5 years.
I signed a petition today on that.
I think it's because this is where the pellets are going. They're going to the Pickering and then there's 2 of them. But the Pickering may close in 5 years, will close in 5 years from what I read. And in that case, well, they'd be providing nobody.
Those reactors are called can-do reactors. They were built to make bombs.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and then they put boilers which make energy, and every single prime minister, Mackenzie, Pearson, Trudeau, Chrétien, they sold these to other countries knowing the point is to make bombs, but it's diplomatic cover that it says, oh, they're for energy. And then when the other country, like India, makes a bomb, they say, oh, we didn't know, and we're furious at them. But they work for the industry, they work for these guys, So if we don't oppose this one part of the cycle, it's like we're saying it's okay, we're for these people using bombs to pressure, in geopolitics to get what they want in the world, It's one part of it that has to be opposed, not just for our health risks, but because in the whole chain, this is how they control the world with weapons, right?
And they're vastly...
Which no one had it.
Exactly. And there are vastly more than 50 jobs to be had, just retrofitting homes to save on energy. There's lots of good jobs that can be out there if there's the will. I think it has to come from us. These are very strong interests.
I know. Well,
they're very big interests.
The money and having the funds to drive them.
Yeah.
What's
that? Well, they should. That's their job. Like I'm a doctor.
This one. The other one.
I have to make life and death decisions. That's their job.
Occupy Carlo, thank you for that message. I know I'm breaking up. It's probably a little late, so I'm just going to move. Certain people in this area didn't want to be filmed.
Well, they are. I mean,
As the health department, why wouldn't you have those questions and why would you want to question them on that? But aren't you now concerned? But now aren't you concerned? So we have a clear idea we have to do that. So why haven't we done that already? So I don't it wouldn't be, but it would basically be that we have to obviously see if we were meeting all the conditions of our license and yeah, reading.
I don't even know what he means, but it does.
It's not measuring it. I mean, I worked in the lab for 10 years with alpha emitters, which uranium is one, but there are different ones. There are a lot of different isotopes. So you have, in order to measure the alpha, what you do is you take your sample like on a filter or something, a very fine filter, and catch it on the filter, and then you put it in a little bottle with this solvent that contains something that flashes light every time there's an emission, and every time there's a disintegration, because your Geiger counter won't pick it up. It's only for the gamma. And that's where the confusion is. Like they show people, with a Geiger counter and a child in Japan, and they're not measuring what's in the thyroid, for example.
Yeah.
Chemtrails is watching something on that.
What's that?
The emissions that they leave when the space jets go up in the air.
I mean,
lithium.
You hear stuff.
Yeah. Learning every day.
I want to see more evidence on that, but I don't. If there were, I don't think we would. It wouldn't be handed over.
Exactly.
But I think there has been some cloud seeding over Mount Shasta in California, weather modifications. So anyway, Dan, right? Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Got a little heated over there.
Right.
Cooler heads prevail. You're welcome, civilian media. It's like Bambuser and Ustream combined. There you are.
Battling the nuke demons on behalf of the community here.
We won. We're winning.
We're winning, yeah, because they're on the run. Like we didn't actually shut this down because we actually wanted the answers from them. But any of the questions we came here tonight with, they said that they would get an appropriate person to contact you back. They wouldn't want to talk on camera. Everyone, Cesar Palacio! Woo! Woo! Hit that! Wow! So.
Oh my! Oh, people of the earth, of the land. Good evening.
We'll be happy to look at whatever additional data there may be and continue this discussion.
So is the health department doing a long-term study of the health in the area? Have they started already 10, 20 years ago? And if not, why not?
Mic check.
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 Cesar Palacio. We have some questions for you. Cesar Palacio needs to answer our question. We're going to. Why did he put in a motion at City Council to shut down GE in 5 years and have Toronto Public Health monitor them? Why did he put that motion in council? and then have Milchin run onto the floor the next day and make an amendment saying that you take away the ask that GE shut down, and he voted for it. So he voted for his amendment.
Give us our words.
Okay.
Why did you amend the motion?
Yeah. Palacio,
Mr. Palacio,
why did you amend the motion?
why did you amend the motion?
The motion to ask.
The motion to ask.
GE Hitachi.
GE Hitachi.
To shut down.
To shut down.
You are the author.
You are the author.
Of that motion.
Of that motion.
For it to shut down.
For it to shut down.
But then. You amended it.
You amended it.
And you.
Voted.
To keep the plant open. Why did you vote to keep the plant open?
Vote to keep the plant open.
Good to go.
Why would we want to lose good union jobs in a community?
There's good jobs.
No, there aren't. Toronto has lost so many union jobs. Look at that picture.
So your health is.
Look at that picture. All of those union jobs, those plants are gone.
Yes.
Do we want to lose all of the industrial jobs in the city of Toronto?
We sure
Do we want to
do.
lose the taxes?
Yeah.
Those are good jobs. That plant is there any question about the results of the tests that we just seen?
Can you say Karen Skillfoot?
Oh, come on. Those tests don't prove anything like Karen Skillfoot.
21 parts per million.
Those tests show that there's no health and safety risk at all.
It doesn't say
No
that.
health and safety risk at all. Do you live in the city of Toronto? Then you better leave. Because you've got a greater health and safety risk by city traffic.
What's your problem? Why are we allowed to be opposed to something that we feel is unsafe? If you feel it's safe, why don't you leave?
I don't want this plant shut down because I want
you're worried
good
about
health
the
and
union
safety.
jobs.
I want good union jobs. I don't want the loss of those good jobs in the city of Toronto.
Might be good jobs, but they're not healthy jobs. And they're not
They
healthy.
are.
They're
They
not
are.
healthy
Did you ask the
community.
workers? Did you ask CAW, Unifor? Did you ask them?
No, I went.
And who are you?
She's an Anishinaabe woman.
Woman?
Who are you?
You know, the land that you're standing on is our land, not yours.
And that
We
means
never
what?
surrendered our land or our territory.
And how's that
What
relevant
about?
to this discussion?
Absolutely, because you're sitting here saying that we should leave.
I didn't say that.
Sure you did.
I did not say that at all.
I actually went around to all the residents.
I did not say that at all.
I went to all the residents, and I met a young woman who lived right beside that uranium plant. Actually, me and my friend, where did he go?
Zachary. He's out there.
Okay, I met a woman there.
I don't want to be found.
Hey, you can't touch people.
I don't want to be found.
Hey, I met
You're
a.
harassing me by taking my picture without my consent.
You were told to leave if you didn't like it.
Without my consent, it definitely is. You're harassing me.
You were told to leave.
You are harassing me by
You were told to leave.
without my consent.
You're harassing everyone in this room.
Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that I met a young lady there who moved in the area.
You're worried about your
about 6
job?
months.
Something in there.
You're worried about your big house?
Reported that
But
she
you're not
got.
worried about our community?
She said destruction just like Ross Ford.
Big house? That's good.
Anyway, I met a young lady who just moved into the neighborhood, and within 6 months she got all sorts of cancer, and she's about 24 years old. I did go to all the residents in that area.
And we did talk to
unopposing.
people at the plant, and they talked about lots of spills and they're not properly cleaning. They've talked about a lot of things to us.
And I spoke to somebody who used to work at the plant who said he was instructed not to ever talk about the plant because they didn't want residents to know it was there. So if it's so safe and the nuclear industry is so safe and has nothing to hide, why wouldn't they want us to know it's there? Do you know anything about the history of nuclear weapons and nuclear energy? Probably not. So if you feel comfortable, stay here and be comfortable. Don't be mad at people who read and are opposed to it. Don't be mad at
Actually, I
people
know
who
a
read
little
experts.
bit about it.
Okay.
I actually do know a lot about it.
Okay.
And I am comfortable with it.
Okay, so then why
So
are you... Why,
we
why,
can
why
agree to
can't we
disagree,
be-
but you guys don't get to come and do this.
We do get to do this. Actually, we do.
No, you're very intimidating. This is very
Intimidating to you?
intimidating.
Well, you know what?
Just to you.
It is.
Nobody else is complaining.
When those Saskatchewan walkers walked from their reserve to GE, Hitachi, did you know that the people at the uranium plant didn't even want to hear what they had to say? They walked from their reserve to that uranium plant. And you know what the lady said? We're not interested in what you people have to say. We're not giving you a letter. And those people walked all the way because that uranium that you're stealing from their reserve, they're concerned. Why don't you go to their reserve and see the health of, because you're stealing from our land to process this stuff, and the people are sick and dying.
There's 2 years of reserve.
But you're more concerned about their
We can
job.
shut that down now.
Fuck their jobs.
I got a question. I just want to know how you guys can
Oh
say that nuclear
my
is good
God.
for the world, and what if it leads to a nuclear war? How can you say that nuclear is good for this world?
Forget about a nuclear war. Japan may need to be evacuated. So what if David Suzuki said, goodbye Japan, and the west coast of North America will have to be evacuated? Oh, but it's so safe. We should be happy with this facility in our community. Do you read anything at all?
You're entitled to your opinion.
That's not my opinion. That's the opinion of David Suzuki.
You're entitled to your opinion.
Greatest Canadian alive, 2003. Yeah, do you read anything at all?
Shut this down for everyone else. You're
For everyone
entitled
else.
to your opinion, but we're entitled to ours too.
You are, of course, you're entitled to your
Shut
opinion.
us down.
I'm not trying to shut you down. You're trying to shut us down.
I'm a citizen. I don't work at the plant. I'm retired.
So it's not your plant.
I am here trying to find out some information. Where you work? No, I did not. But honey, don't do this. You're intimidating everybody.
I like to laugh on that. Excuse me.
A citizen, why do you make this so harassment? I'm sorry, I misspoke. I said your plant, my plant. All I'm trying to do is be a citizen, trying to get information, trying to participate, and what you're doing is right. You're making me very nervous.
It's all about you, Rob Ford.
Well, he's my counselor, and I really, really get upset when people stand up and say they vote for your plant. Because I have seen, I've lived in this neighborhood for over 30 years. I get very upset with the changing nature of this community, the loss of good jobs, the loss of a good tax base, and the loss of City of Toronto's ability to provide the infrastructure and the support that we need.
If they had jobs for green technology, would you be happy with that? I mean, knowing what this is, uranium,
what we're more likely to get is what replaced everything else.
No, if you're planting, it's greater May, just as that day, because it's pretty hard. You might forget it. Take some photos.
I'd like to keep I'd like to keep
Oh, you're welcome.
You guys are the ones who declared war against y'all. I forgot about that.
You have to read about it. And you have to read.
I got a question for you. I just wanted to say, these people saying that it creates a lot of jobs and nuclear is good for the world. So if there's a nuclear war, how can you say that that's good for the world? And with that being said, it's like, so does that mean we can hold you guys accountable to break up the nuclear war?
Thank you. Hey, I remember him. We were together, yes. You remember that? You do.
I don't know enough about that issue. I know only whatever.
Well, you don't have to pack up. Come on.
Close enough. You just got here. Just got here.
Something we said?
Let's get a group photo.
Group photo.
Yeah, I was.
Taking a picture.
Yeah, I was.
For a second.
Can we get our
Taking
people behind
pictures.
this sign to take a group photo behind the banner here?
You fall last because they don't
Everyone except the lady in red. I mean, that lady in the red back there.
What do you think tonight?
Where'd you get the button? Do you know that already?
Which one?
The button.
The big round one?
This guy with the halo.
That was handed out at Occupy Toronto one of the first few days, and a friend of mine picked it up and didn't want it, so I took it.
Oh, it's cool. That says street art.
And the other one says Pinko bike rider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good live stream.
I'm streaming. Yeah.
want to share it, propaganda without understanding. So I'm glad everybody showed up.
Nice. we are here. Now, what was that you were saying at first? Remember you were saying that when we were outside. You were determined. You wanted to get ahead with this, right?
No, I came late.
Yeah, you came late. I know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I like the first few words that you said. I got you on tape. You'll remember when you see it.
Maybe I'll remember it after, yeah.
Yeah, I like your attitude. Right on. Determination. Stuff. Especially when they wanted to punk us because we can't film.
I thought this was going on until 9. Would you not put these signs up, you know?
It's 8 o'clock right now.
I'll take them and I'll put them up.
How's an hour?
Good.
I met you at the mining thing.
Yeah, 2 times.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty exciting. I have to keep this going before we go outside.
Going on until 9.
Absolutely amazing night. Okay, I'm looking at. You guys were talking about Ustream on the chat. Discussion getting a little heated. Discussion is ended.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question, Councillor? You don't want to answer?
I'm sure it was an interesting day.
Were you giving an interview about cracking up? I thought I saw him on TV. He's mayor in name only. So what's the point of him being the mayor if he can't make those
We're not shutting you down. We want more information.
Don't run away.
Don't run away. Come back.
What if Ronald McDonald?
Run away. So, that was good.
Their information because she's asking why they're packing up. Is there any reason why you're packing up early?
Yeah, this meeting is completed. Thank you very much
But
for
it's
showing.
on until 9 o'clock. I have lots of questions.
Yeah, well, actually, we're all wrapped up tonight. But if you go to our website, we've got an email address and a 1-800 number.
But you're here right now.
So any questions
I
you
gotta
have.
promote that.
But you're here right now.
Until 9.
Thank you very much.
Are you going to pay until 9 o'clock or to 8 o'clock?
So what about the yellow powder?
You sure know how to clear a room.
What about the yellow powder in the containers? And they can come back. And they're going through residential areas. What about that? What about the cleanup? And telling people what's traveling through your residential areas?
All right, we're going to have to ask everyone to leave. Thank you very much for coming out tonight. Yep.
Are you not going to answer my question?
Are you going to pay until 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock?
And I am, yeah.
Processed uranium can combust under heat of the sun and pressure.
Grab my coffee here. Wow.
So if this is an information night, why am I not getting information?
All right, thank you very much.
Nothing I said?
Traveled all the way for some refreshment.
I spent bus fare in half of this.
Quite an eventful day. Or night. Day. Night. Get outside and see what's going on. I have a good. My sixth sense.
That you're damaging. And you're stealing resources
What areas?
from our land.
That was a quick mistake. Sorry.
These are the women and men and children. The lives that you're destroying from our reserve.
I went from polite to hostile really quick. Excuse me for a second.
Oh! The flying nuke man just bumped my arm.
So, will you answer my questions in a meeting sometime, and I can interview you? You said you were good on camera, right? Can we have an interview?
You have my contact information. Be sure to reach out to me.
And we'll organize an interview.
Oh, low battery. We might cut out any second if we do.
The director of communications. Completely out now. Yeah.
Did you get a card?
No, I didn't.
It's available online.
What's your email address?
Yeah. It's all there on the GE Canada website. I'm the contact.
Are you the only Raheem?
I'm the only Raheem. Yeah.
So you'll do a video interview. What did Toronto Public Health say when you were talking about the mining?
That's not
Hey, PR guy, something to add to your reading list. Edward Bernays on the history of propaganda, so you can understand what field you got into. Because you probably didn't read it in school, because your education was a piece of junk, pal. Edward Bernays, and get some Chomsky too.
Propaganda, yep.
Or just smile instead of going to the library, pal.
No, I could have stayed home and watched the Leafs beat the Islanders.
But this is much more exciting.
Beat Barcelona. Oh, it's starting when I left.
As long as we protect the union jobs, right? Doesn't matter about the hundreds of thousands of jobs that we're killing.
Yeah, well, we knew that already. Deja vu. Like,
Actually, it was my first time being to one of these. That's a word for it.
No, it's empowering and like totally depressing.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just keep running through this battery days. Wow, I got more viewers now and I'm ready to cut out. What's going on here? You know, it's the way it goes.
Some little alpha particles.
Well, you know, I feel like I didn't know enough to like ask people the types of questions that would have gone to me like actual information from them. Like, you know, they had the general manager here, which is obviously kind of show respect for the community, but then like, you know, they expected you to have enough information to go on that.
But then once you start asking people questions,
Check my mailbox. Anybody want to chat? You still out there, civilian? Untold Carlisle. I keep thinking you're occupied Carlisle with a few fellows.
You know, as good as experts, I think, from all from public health start talking about
let my battery go.
and then Dr. Boyd starts explaining the history of the standards and how they're put forth by the industry and they make no sense. They just all start going apart. And they realize, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just explaining what the experts say.
The train track.
All we can speak to is the standards. And they have nothing else to say, right? And those are their experts, right? I think we're just focused on the rugged side.
You get to go home early. Huh? 9 o'clock they close. No? They were supposed to. Yeah. Talking to the cleaner there.
We've got to make our way out. Sorry to rush you.
On camera. You said you feel comfortable.
9 p.m., right? Why are you shutting down?
He keeps running away. You know why? We'll talk about it.
Why are you shutting down early? We shut them down. That's what's happening. They're on the run. We shut them down. We'll shut. Like, you know, you can't answer our questions. You're gonna. We need to.
We'll have to call him Runaway Raheem.
Runaway Raheem. Director of Communications. Yeah, Runaway Raheem.
Because Raheem is a pawn.
He's a pawn.
You're a pawn, Raheem. Nobody likes a pawn.
Everybody likes a warrior.
Let's wait for my battery to go dead. And now when my batteries go on, I get more viewers. Wow.
We're not doing anything wrong. We're just bringing awareness.
So I think we had a good broadcast.
Can you capture this moment?
Yeah, everything's out over there and we're all good. It was a great job.
Did you see the way he abused that counselor?
You know Sergeant Albanese?
Yeah, it's all over
He's he's at Eglinton.
12 or 13?
You're different division? You're 12 division.
Oh,
There were 3 counselors.
that's 13.
Bernie?
Oh, okay.
If you want to give them a call.
Okay, yeah, I'll give them a call. All right, well, that's then so far 11 division? You're 12. You're 11. Okay, so maybe
Albanese was 11 or 12.
Because your other divisions are doing a great job, you know. It's really helpful. Thank you.
Well, the thing is, we just want to make sure that, you know, that's all
That's
we're not taking
great.
our side, we're not taking your side, we're not taking their side, we're just making sure everybody's safe.
Yeah, but when they say that in Caledonia, they're working with this racist guy named Gary McHale. Have you heard about that? No. Okay, just research Gary McHale, 16 crimes in 16 seconds. He goes onto this reclamation site on Six Nations territory, and he puts his hands on a Haudenosaunee man and says, "You're under arrest." And then he says to Sergeant Bradley, either you take him in or I'll arrest him myself. And then and then they just kind of spar a bit more, the police are reporting, and then the next day, the officer comes and arrests that Haudenosaunee land defender because Gary McHale put his hands on him saying, you're under citizen's arrest, and he extricated himself from that.
Exactly. Well, thank you for listening earlier.
Thanks. Yeah, I know. I need to work on it. Yeah.
It was great that you worked on it. So
Thanks.
de-escalated
De-escalated. Right on. That's what we've been sort of talking about with our police interactions. Yeah, right on. Okay. Okay, cheers. Thanks. So police doing some de-escalation. I'm glad I don't have, 7 bullets and a tase right now. So right on, Toronto Police. Right on.
Excellent. We got more viewers now than I had before.
Yeah.
Excellent. I think we just wrap it up outside. I'm waiting for my battery to die here.
Did you, Jamie? Can I turn it on you for a second? Can I turn it on you?
On me.
So what do you think tonight? Live streamer.
The crowd. Oh, move that too fast. You make people.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hey, everything went cool. That lady in red. You know, like that song. The crawl.
Right on. Thank you for live streaming. Thank you. Can you take a picture of us with the live stream? Sure. Thank you, everybody. Everyone, thank you very much. Thank you to the Crow for doing live streaming tonight, for our safety, for documentary art, for new technology.
Yep.
And a learning experience.
And a learning experience, yeah.
Too bad that they ran away. They ran away.
Well, suck up my battery, you Tasmanian devil.
What happened? Oh my God, you're right.
Okay,
Is it going?
Is it going, man?
It's all right. I'm just letting it go again. All right, great event. And cuz the Crow.
I know.
We'll leave it at that. I got 10 viewers. Who are my 10 viewers? Rise PDX. You're welcome.
His name is Jim Deutsch.
Oh, you restreamed it. Nice. Thank you.
Right on. Last day Kathy showed up.
And a doctor.
Oh, we got restreamed there.
Family.
I'm going to drink a bit of coffee and just place the phone down somewhere.
Do you want to go to the band office right at Atlanta?
Oh, low battery still. It's still playing. I'll let it keep running until it dies.
You want to go to that one? Sure. Yeah. That's not far.
If you tell us, everybody knows we're still on stream. We are going
to band office, Tim Hortons, Gladstone and Bloor.
Have no fear. We got recording here.
Thank you.
In our first 3 community meetings, when it was found what some of the symptoms are for
These 3 in the back there are kids. I think we're going to jump them or something. Can we leave? Is it safe to leave?
How much they pay you guys for tracking out this thing? We don't know. They with city they get permit. So if they pay until 9 o'clock,
it's paid already.
Right? Sorry. They're closing an hour early. No, they can stay. We don't have close. They have permit until 9.
What time? Until 9. What time is the whole place closed at?
Okay.
Yeah.
9 o'clock.
Oh, the whole place closed at 9.
So 1 hour, 3 hours to the city.
Wondering if we're still okay. Still on.
Shoot him some questions, he'll get some answers. So I can ask lots of questions about why we need a facility and what happened with that fire with the heating and how has it been fixed?
Okay.
What happened with that?
So did they answer? They said they will answer.
They will answer.
They will answer. We're not ready to answer tonight. Well, I asked the health department people, I was asking them some questions and they couldn't give me answers, like about the emissions, about stack emissions. They said, well, we don't have that information here. Well, why don't we have it? It's an open house. Why aren't we prepared?
Why did you have your environmental monitoring information?
well, yeah, I asked him, why didn't you have this here, knowing it's an open house and people are going to ask you questions, why aren't you prepared to answer these questions? And she said, well, we have, that comes to our communications person. Well, who's the communications person? Why aren't they here? Oh, well, I am the communications person. So you just said you weren't.
I'm going to do name.
Well, I'm not that communications person. So why isn't that communications person here?
Yeah, and everyone I think.
John Bakesh.
I mean,
Toronto Public Health. Oh yeah, and I got their name tags picture too as well. It's Barbara LaChapelle and someone else. So I know who they
Last
are.
you never answered.
Oh, right on. Do you have the audio recorder?
Yeah.
Okay. Does it turn off?
That was fun though.
What?
That was fun.
That was fun?
That was fun.
Yeah. Last minute. Game.
Trying something over here. My battery just about to die. It's amazing it's still going. So anytime my viewers will probably cut out if the battery dies. Excuse me for a second. No power. So we'll be cutting out anytime the battery goes down. I'm at 7%. Alright, that's what it is for me to just cut right out now. The Crow, as you can see, the meeting was closed at supposed to close at 9, so this is all wasted time, and you can see and I cut out now, my battery's gone. Because the Crow, thanks to all my viewers. Catch you on the next one. Jerry.